Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Mr. Wiz here. I got some great stuff that I want to show you all today. So if you've been watching my other videos, you should already know pretty well how to start building games in MakeCode Arcade. But there's one question my students always ask me, and that is, can I import other images into my programs, or do I have to draw them all? Some of my students are great artists, but some of them aren't. Like me, they might need a little extra help. So I'm going to show you guys how to import images. Now, I have posted a video about this before, but the way that I showed you in the last video was a little bit complicated. I found a much better way, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So the first thing you need before you can upload an image is you need an image. Now, of course, you could go into Google and search for an image, but keep in mind those are images that belong to other people. They have rights associated with them. You probably shouldn't do that. So instead, we're going to use an AI tool to create our image. So this is canva.com. There's a lot of good photo editing tools here, but you can also create AI images in Canva. This is the tool that my students use. Of course, there are other AI tools you might want to use, but I'm going to use this one since I'm familiar with it and since this is the one my students use. So all I have to do is type in a good description. So maybe for my character, let's see, what do I want my character to look like? Maybe I want them to look like a zombie hunter. Let's see what that creates here. Maybe I'm making a zombie game, and I want it to look pretty authentic, so I need a good image for my character. So as I wait for these to load, basically one thing you will need to watch out for is if the picture is too high quality, it will not look good when you put it in your game. You got to watch out for that, because keep in mind in MakeCode Arcade, they're using pixels, rather large pixels, and they also only have 15 color options. So it is difficult to upload pictures that have too much shading, too much detail, things like that. Seems like I'm having some internet problems. The internet must be really slow today, because normally it doesn't take that long to make the 4 images. But yeah, here's an example. We got one. It's a great picture, but isn't going to look good when I pixelate it. So I don't want that. In Canva, they have this great option where you can switch over to graphics. And with graphics, you can do something that's a little bit more cartoony. You can also choose your graphic. I love this when I'm making games because I can make all my images look similar, right? So I can make them all look hand-drawn or make them all look like stickers, and that will make my game feel more natural when all the sprites kind of fit the same art style. So let's try this again. I'm going to go in more detail here. Let's do a zombie hunter with sword. The more detail you give AI, the better your image is going to be. And I'm also going to make it full body. I'm going to put full body in front of it. Otherwise, it might only show me the top half of the body, and I want the full character here. So let's see if it can give me a hand-drawn image of a zombie hunter with a sword, and hopefully it won't take too long to load. There it is. It's got some good ones here. So I'm going to use this girl, I think. She's pretty neat. So now that I've got the character, I'm just going to make it a little bit larger so I can get the most detail here. There we go. And then I'm going to save my image. So to save my image, I go to Share, I go to Download, and then I hit the button down here that says Save. Wait, no, that's Save Download. It's the big button that says Download. I got to hit that. All right, now that my image is being downloaded, I'm going over to the page where I'm going to convert it to something I can upload into MakeCode Arcade. I will be sharing all these links with you guys in the comments, by the way. So I did in the past share a similar program, but this one I actually like a lot better. It's a little easier to use. So first I have to choose my file and upload it. Once you upload your file, you can choose the size. So I can have it fit to the width of the screen, fit to the height of the screen. I can pick my own resolution. I can decide all that stuff. I always recommend making it larger than you're going to need it, because the larger it is, the more detail you'll have, and you can always shrink it or change the size later. So I'm going to have it fit to the height of the screen. And then here's the height is 120, so it gave me an image that is 120 by 120, and here I can see the JavaScript for it. You can see kind of the outline of the character there, pretty cool. And I'm going to copy the code. And the great thing about this is we're copying the entire code, and it is made specifically for MakeCode. So I don't have to edit the code, which is awesome. So now to put that zombie hunting girl into my program, I'm going to switch over to JavaScript. And then I do not want to change my code that I already have here. You got to be real careful. If you start messing with JavaScript, you could break your game. So I don't want to change the code I already have. Instead, I'm just going to go to that very first line, up here at line 1. I'm just going to hit Enter to create an empty line. So in my empty line, I'm going to paste using Control V, and there's the code that I just pasted for my zombie girl. I'm going to go back to blocks now. So all I did was create a new line at the beginning of my code and paste it there. And here it is. When I go back to blocks, I can see that it uploaded a sprite with that image. And I can click on it and I can make any edits to it. So it's pretty similar to the one I saw. I think the colors may have changed a little bit because it's trying to fit into the 15 colors that I have from MakeCode. So of course I can edit this. Maybe I decide to make her shirt purple. Maybe I decide to make the sword all that same shade, right? I can make her blue jeans a little bit more blue. So I can make whatever edits I want to make at this time. The background here right now is white. I don't want a white background. I want transparent. So I'm going to use this transparent in the bucket fill to erase the backgrounds here. There we go. So now I've got a pretty cool character. And I do not have to keep this whole block. All I was really worried about was the character. So I'm going to drag and drop the picture and put it in the character that I had already created. So keep in mind, if you are editing your game, you may already have a great game. So putting this inside of the code you already have is going to be really useful to you. So I've got my character, but this is, as I mentioned earlier, she's too big. I don't want my character to fill the entire screen. It would be impossible to play my game. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shrink the character. So to shrink your character, I'm going to go to sprites. I'm going to go to set. I'm going to drag and drop that there. And I'm going to change where it says the X. I'm going to change it to scale. So I'm setting the scale of my characters. This is setting their size. When you set scale, you're choosing a number as your scale. So 1 is the original value. So if I have scale at 1, you'll notice nothing has changed. Still the same size that it was before. If I make this a larger number, the object will get larger. If I make it a smaller number, the object will get smaller. This runs off of the idea of percentages. So 1 is equal to 100%. If I do 0.5, that makes it 50%. So now it'll be half the size it was before. And there it is. Still not quite small enough for me to make a good game with, though. So let's go even smaller. Maybe I'll do 0.3 for 30% of the original size. That's not bad. Now notice as I'm getting smaller, I'm losing detail, right? The smaller I get, the less detail. I can't really see her face anymore, things like that. But I can still use this as a character in my game. I can have her move around, and this is pretty decent. So using the AI to create my character and then using that tool to upload it is going to be really useful to me. I also love to upload not just sprites. I also like to use the uploading option for title pages. I had a student actually showed me this trick. They went to brandcrowd.com. So this is a website where you can create logos and things like that. And they typed in a description. So the last time I used it, I did zombie baseball. Let's do zombie hunter game. Well, what do I want to call my game? Maybe I'll just call it zombie hunter. So whatever you want to name your game, I can put in here. I can create a logo for it. And here it's got some cool logos for me to choose from. So I can grab one of these logos and I can also edit the logo. Here we go, Zombie Hunter. That's pretty neat. I'll pick this one. And it has a little section for a slogan. So if I want to get rid of this or I can change this, I think I'm just going to get rid of it in mine. I don't need that slogan there. So I'll just use this as my image. Oops. Click off to the side. There we go. So I'm going to use this as the title page image that I want to use in my game. So I can just save this picture or even screenshot this picture. And then I can put it into my game by uploading it like we did a second ago. All right, so I took a screenshot of the image. I'm uploading it here. There we go. It did change some of the colors, you'll probably notice, but I can always edit those when I upload it. I'm going to make this fit the height of the screen. That should be pretty good. Or I could do a custom resolution. Keep in mind the size of the screen is 160 by 120. So maybe I'll just do a custom resolution, make it fill the entire screen. So I could do that. Hit enter, there we go. So here's kind of what it should look like when it's done. I'm going to copy the code and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to go to JavaScript. I'm going to hit enter at the top to create a new line. I'm going to paste that right there. Then I'm going to go back to blocks. And it creates it as a sprite, but I don't want this as a sprite. I want this as a title page. So instead of doing it as a sprite, I'm going to do it as a background image. I'm going to drag the picture into that background image. I'm going to get rid of the sprite it created because I don't need that. So for a title page, I don't want it to immediately jump into the game. So I'm going to go into loops. I'm going to create a little pause here after. I put it in the wrong spot. Create a pause after the background image is set. I can decide how long. And then maybe I decide to put a sprite. I'm sorry, not a sprite. Maybe I decide to put a splash block in here, telling people how to play. I'm just going to put begin for now. So now when I start my game, I have the title page, and then it says begin, and then the game will start, right? And I can change the background after the game starts. I can do some other stuff with it. Maybe I'll make my pause a little bit longer. So this is a great start. So basically, to summarize, the things I wanted to show you is that you can take any image and you can upload it using the conversion tool, which I'll link below. But I do recommend that you create your own images using AI tools. It's going to be very unique, it's going to be a lot of fun, and you're not stealing someone else's artwork, right? So yeah, with that, I'll go ahead and end this video. If you learned something new today, please click that like button. If you're not already subscribed, feel free to subscribe. I would love to see any cool artwork that you guys make, so share those links down there in the comments. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.